Hey everyone, Elizabeth here. The Last Laugh delivers stories that leave you speechless if you're here for it. Hit subscribe and let's go.
The cream-colored envelope arrived on a Tuesday. Heavy cardstock. Embossed gold lettering. My parents' 30th anniversary celebration at Riverside Country Club. I opened it at my kitchen table, still in my work clothes. The invitation was beautiful. Elegant script, tissue paper insert, the works. Then I read the note card tucked inside, handwritten in my mother's perfect penmanship. Darling, this is rather formal. Members and distinguished guests only. Given your situation, perhaps it's best if you sit this one out. We'll celebrate privately another time. Love, Mom. I set it down carefully. Took a breath. Read it again. My phone buzzed. My sister Amanda. Amanda, just got my invite. Mom's friends are all socialites. The Hendersons, the Carmichaels, the whole club set. You coming? Amanda, actually, probably better if you don't. Don't want things to be awkward. I stared at the messages. Didn't reply. Another text came through. Amanda, you understand, right? It's just, you know how Mom is about appearances. I set my phone face down on the counter. The thing is, I did understand. I'd understood for years. I was the family disappointment. The daughter who never quite figured it out. The one they stopped mentioning at dinner parties. While Amanda married a cardiologist and lived in a 5-bedroom colonial, I rented a modest 2-bedroom apartment downtown. While my brother Jason ran a successful law practice, I worked as an administrative consultant, which my mother described to her friends as between opportunities. They didn't know what I actually did. They'd never asked. I looked at the invitation again. Riverside Country Club. I picked up my phone and made a call. Marcus? It's Elena. I need to review the Riverside membership applications for next month. Specifically the Patterson family application. Can you send me the file? Marcus Chin, the club's general manager, responded immediately. Of course, Ms. Reyes. I'll have it to you within the hour. Should I flag anything specific? Just the standard review. Thank you, Marcus. I hung up and returned to my dinner. Leftover pasta. Quiet apartment. Just me and the decision I'd been avoiding for 3 years. Growing up, I was always the odd one out. Amanda was the beauty queen. Homecoming princess, cheer captain, the daughter my mother paraded at every social function. Jason was the golden boy, debate team captain, valedictorian, full ride to Georgetown Law. And then there was me, Elena. The quiet one. The creative one. The one who asked too many questions and didn't care about the right things. Why can't you be more like your sister? Mom asked when I was 16, after I skipped the country club's debutante ball to volunteer at a community center. Why don't you apply yourself like your brother? Dad said when I chose a state school over an Ivy League. I studied business administration, but my heart wasn't in corporate climbing. After graduation, I took a job as an executive assistant at a small investment firm. My family was mortified. An assistant? My mother's voice had gone shrill. After 4 years of college? It's a good company, Mom. I'm learning a lot. Amanda's engaged to a doctor, she'd replied as if that was relevant. But the firm, Cordero Capital Management, wasn't just any company. The founder, Richard Cordero, was a legend in private equity. He'd built a $2.8 billion portfolio from nothing. And for some reason he saw something in me. You think differently, he told me after I'd been there 6 months. You see patterns others miss. Have you ever considered investment analysis? I had not. But Richard became my mentor. He taught me how to read market trends, evaluate companies, identify undervalued assets. Within 2 years I wasn't an assistant anymore. I was an analyst. Then a junior partner. My family never asked about my work. When they asked what I did, I said, I work in finance. They assumed I was still making copies. When I was 28, Richard made me an offer. I'm retiring, he said. I want to sell you the firm. 60% controlling interest. I'll retain 20% as advisor. The remaining 20% stays with our existing partners. The price was $45 million. I'd been saving aggressively, living below my means, reinvesting every bonus. I had $8 million in liquid assets. I secured financing for the rest. Banks that knew Richard's track record were willing to bet on his chosen successor. At 29, I became majority owner of Cordero Capital Management. I kept Richard's name on the door. Kept my head down. Kept building. My family never knew. Why would they ask? To them, I was still the disappointing daughter who'd never amounted to anything. By 32, our portfolio had grown to $3.2 billion. I lived modestly, drove a normal car, wore simple clothes. I didn't need anyone to know. The work was enough. Until the investment opportunities started getting interesting. 3 years ago, Riverside Country Club hit financial trouble. The club had been a local institution for 60 years. Old money, prestigious members, the social pinnacle of our city's elite. My parents had been trying to get membership for 15 years. They'd been on the waiting list forever, attending as guests of existing members, networking desperately. But the club had been mismanaged. Expensive renovations, poor investment decisions, declining membership among younger generations. They were hemorrhaging money. The club's board decided to restructure. They'd bring in outside investors, sell equity stakes to stabilize finances. Richard called me. There's an opportunity here. The club's undervalued. Prime real estate, strong brand, just needs competent management. Could be a 15% annual return if handled correctly. I looked at the prospectus. He was right. But more than that, I remembered every dismissive comment my parents had made about my choices. Every time they'd paraded Amanda and Jason's accomplishments while introducing me as their other daughter. Every country club event I'd attended as their guest where they'd apologized for my presence. I want controlling interest, I told Richard. Not just an investment stake. I want control. He raised an eyebrow. That'll cost you. They're offering up to 75% equity to investors, but controlling interest will require at least 51%. That's $22 million. I want 73%, I said. I want complete control of club policy, membership decisions, and management oversight. Richard studied me. This is personal. This is business, I corrected. With personal satisfaction as a side benefit. We structured the deal through a holding company. My name appeared nowhere in the public documents. As far as the club's board and members knew, the new majority investor was Reyes Holdings LC, which could be anyone. The sale closed on a Thursday. By Friday, I owned 73% of Riverside Country Club. Marcus Chin, the general manager, was the only person who knew. He reported directly to me. We met monthly to review operations, finances, membership applications, including my parents' application, which they'd resubmitted for the 8th time. Over the next 3 years, I kept my life compartmentalized. At work, I was Elena Reyes, managing partner of Cordero Capital Management. Our portfolio expanded to $3.7 billion. Forbes mentioned me in an article about rising female investors. I was invited to speak at conferences. At family dinners, I was Elena, the underachiever. The one they still introduced as working in finance, with a tone that suggested it was entry-level. How's work, Elena? Dad would ask, already turning to Jason before I could answer. It's good. We just closed a significant acquisition. Jason, tell us about the Henderson case. And the conversation would move on. Amanda got pregnant. Mom threw her an elaborate baby shower at the country club, as someone's guest since they still weren't members. I wasn't invited. It's just so small and we had to limit the guest list, Mom explained. Jason made junior partner at his firm. Dad hosted a celebration dinner at the club. I showed up and sat at the end of the table while everyone toasted Jason's success. At least one of our children made something of themselves, Dad said, drunk on scotch and pride. I smiled politely and said nothing. The club's renovations were finishing. Under Marcus's management and my investment, we'd updated the facilities, expanded the golf course, added a new restaurant. Membership applications were flooding in. The club was thriving. My parents' application sat on my desk every month. Should I process this? Marcus asked during one of our meetings. They've met all the standard criteria. Strong references, financial stability, community standing. Not yet, I said. Then the anniversary invitation arrived. I sat in my office the day after receiving the invitation. The Riverside membership file sat open on my desk. Patterson family application. Status, pending review. My parents had submitted everything perfectly. 3 reference letters from current members. Financial statements showing more than adequate resources. A personal statement about their love for the club and desire to be part of the community. It was a good application. By any objective measure they should be approved. Marcus knocked on my door. The anniversary event is scheduled for Saturday. They've reserved the grand ballroom. Approximately 150 guests. Very elegant affair. I said. Your parents are hosting? They are. But you're not attending? I showed him the note card. Perhaps it's best if you sit this one out. Marcus's expression hardened. Ms. Reyes, as a club stakeholder, you have every right to attend any event on the premises. As a disinvited daughter, I have every reason to stay home. He hesitated. May I speak freely? I nodded. I've worked in club management for 20 years. I've seen how members treat staff, family, each other. Your parents have been guests here dozens of times. They're pleasant to members, but dismissive to servers, condescending to junior staff. Last month, your mother sent back a salad 3 times because the dressing wasn't quite right. She didn't tip. I hadn't known that. Your father got angry when he couldn't book a tea time on short notice, Marcus continued. Told our golf coordinator that real members would never tolerate such incompetence. She's been here 15 years. I leaned back in my chair. What are you suggesting? I'm suggesting that membership should reflect character, not just bank accounts. And I'm suggesting that you might want to attend Saturday's event. Not as their daughter. As the club's principal owner. I looked at the application again. Then at the invitation with its dismissive note. Process their application, I said finally. Standard review timeline. I'll make my decision after the anniversary event. Marcus smiled slightly. Understood. Should I alert security that you'll be attending? That won't be necessary. But do inform the staff that I'll be on premises. I'd like to observe the event. Of course. And Ms. Reyes? Or something nice. You own the place. Saturday evening. I stood in front of my closet for 20 minutes. My usual uniform was simple. Tailored pants, understated blouses, minimal jewelry. Professional but forgettable. The kind of clothes that helped me blend in that didn't draw attention. Tonight I chose differently. A midnight blue dress I'd bought for a Forbes conference but never worn. Simple elegance, perfect fit. Pearl earrings that had been Richard's retirement gift to me. Shoes that cost more than my monthly rent used to be. I looked at myself in the mirror. I looked like someone who belonged. Someone successful. Someone who owned things. I arrived at Riverside at 7:45 p.m. 15 minutes after the party's official start. The valet's eyes widened slightly when I stepped out of my car. Not flashy but nice. A Tesla Model S. Professional. Appropriate. Good evening, Ms. Reyes, he said quietly. Mr. Chin asked me to inform you that your reserved table is ready whenever you'd like. Thank you, David. I'll walk the grounds first. The club looked beautiful. Soft lighting illuminated the gardens. Through the grand ballroom's windows I could see the party in full swing. Crystal chandeliers. Elegant decor. Tables full of the city's social elite. My parents stood near the entrance, greeting guests. Mom in a champagne-colored gown, Dad in his best tuxedo. They looked happy. Proud. This was their moment. Hosting an event at the club they desperately wanted to join for years. Amanda stood with her husband, pregnant, belly prominent, holding court with a group of women. Jason and his wife worked the room like politicians. No one had noticed me yet. I walked through the garden entrance, nodded to the staff member at the door and entered the ballroom from the side. Marcus appeared at my elbow. Your table, Ms. Reyes? The corner. Good view but discreet. He led me to a small table with perfect sightlines. Within moments, a server brought water and a menu. Compliments of the house, she whispered. Mr. Chin said anything you'd like. I ordered something light and settled in to watch. My parents were in their element. Dad worked the room with practiced ease, shaking hands, laughing at jokes, introducing Mom to influential guests. She glowed, playing the perfect hostess, accepting compliments on the venue with false modesty, as if she had any control over it. Riverside really is exquisite, I heard her tell Mrs. Henderson. Of course we've been close with the club for years. Just waiting for the right membership moment. The right membership moment. As if it was inevitable. As if they deserved it simply by wanting it. Amanda found them. Mom, the Carmichaels are asking about your application status. What should I tell them? Tell them we're very optimistic, Mom said smoothly. We have excellent references. I'm sure it's just a matter of time. I took a sip of water and continued watching. Jason approached with an older couple. Mom, Dad, meet Judge Morrison and his wife. They're on the club's advisory board. My father's face lit up. Judge Morrison. Such a pleasure. My son Jason is with Whitmore and Associates. Perhaps you know the firm. I do indeed, the judge said warmly. Fine reputation. We'd love to discuss the club's future, Dad said, too eager. We're hoping to become more involved in the community here. Well, membership decisions take time, Judge Morrison said diplomatically. But we always welcome families with strong values. After they moved on, I saw my father check his watch. Saw him scan the room. Calculating. Networking. Every conversation was a chess move. This was what they cared about. Status. Appearances. Being seen in the right places with the right people. I'd never fit into that world. Never wanted to. A commotion near the entrance caught my attention. A young couple trying to enter. Casual dress, looking confused. One of the club's receptionists blocked them politely. I'm sorry, but this is a private event. Members and invited guests only. We're friends of the family. The young man said. We knew Amanda in college. My mother appeared, face tight. I'm so sorry, but this is a very exclusive event. Perhaps another time. He practically shooed them out. Amanda watched, embarrassed but saying nothing. I made a mental note. Another small cruelty. Another moment of putting appearances before people. My phone buzzed. A text from Marcus. Marcus, your parents just asked me about expediting their membership application. Implied they were hosting this event as members, not guests. Should I correct them? Me, not yet. Let the evening play out. The dinner service began. I ate quietly in my corner watching. The speeches started. Toasts to my parents, stories about their marriage, their success, their wonderful children. Jason stood. To my parents who taught us the value of hard work, integrity, and family. They showed us what success looks like. Everyone applauded. I set down my fork. Amanda went next. Mom and Dad always pushed us to be our best. To associate with quality people. To never settle. She glanced around the room. They taught us that where you are matters almost as much as who you are. More applause. More champagne. No one mentioned me. Not once. It was as if I didn't exist. I checked my watch. 9:30 p.m. The party would wind down soon. People were getting comfortable, relaxed. The perfect time. I caught Marcus's eye across the room. Nodded once. He moved toward my parents' table. Marcus approached my father during a lull in conversation. The tables nearby had finished dinner. People were mingling, relaxed from wine and good food. Mr. Patterson? Marcus's voice was polite, professional. May I have a moment? My father turned, smiling. Of course. Marcus, wonderful event. The club really outdid themselves. You'll make sure this is noted in our membership file. That's actually what I wanted to discuss, sir. Marcus held an iPad. Your membership application. Dad's face brightened. Excellent. We were hoping for good news. We've been so patient. Mom moved closer. Is there a problem with our references? Because we have more if needed. No, ma'am. Your references are excellent. It's just that membership decisions require approval from the principal owner. Marcus paused. I wanted to introduce you. My father looked confused. I thought the club was owned by some investment group? Reyes Holdings, yes. The principal investor holds 73% ownership and makes all final decisions on club policy and membership. Well, when can we meet with them? Mom asked. Tonight. We'd love to make our case. Marcus turned slightly. Gestured toward my corner table. Ms. Reyes has been observing the event this evening. She's right over there. I stood up. Fully. Gave them time to process. The walk from my table to theirs felt like miles. Every step in perfect silence. I could feel eyes tracking me. Staff who knew, guests who were curious, family who hadn't yet recognized what was happening. Amanda saw me first. Elena? What are you doing here? I reached their table. Looked at my parents. Their faces confused, not yet understanding. Hello, Mom. That beautiful party. Elena. My mother's voice was tight. You weren't invited. This is inappropriate. Actually, Marcus said smoothly, Ms. Reyes has every right to be here. She owns 73% of Riverside Country Club. She's been the principal owner for 3 years. The silence was immediate. Total. Like someone had sucked all the air out of the room. My father's face went through several expressions. Confusion. Disbelief. But then something like panic. That's not possible, he stammered. You're an assistant. I was an assistant, I corrected. 10 years ago. I'm now the managing partner of Cordero Capital Management. We manage a $3.7 billion portfolio. Riverside was one of our acquisitions 3 years ago. My mother's face had gone pale. You're lying. I pulled out my phone. Opened an email. Handed it to Marcus. Mr. Chin, can you pull up the ownership documents? I think my parents would like to see them. Marcus pulled up the documents on his iPad. Turned it so they could see. Reyes Holdings LLC. Principal owner, Elena Reyes. 73% equity stake. Purchased 3 years ago for $22 million. This can't be real, Dad whispered. People at nearby tables were staring now. The party had gone quiet. Jason pushed through. What's going on? Your sister, Marcus said calmly, owns the club. She's owned it for 3 years. And she's been reviewing your parents' membership application. Amanda's face was white. Elena, is this true? I didn't answer her. I looked at my parents. You've been guests here for 3 years, hosting events, networking, telling people you were close with the club. But you've never been members. Every event, every dinner, every golf game, you've been here as guests of actual members. Or as my guests, through the club's courtesy policy. My father found his voice. Why didn't you tell us? You never asked what I did. You assumed I was a failure. You stopped inviting me to family events because I'd embarrass you. You sent me a note telling me not to come to your anniversary because I wasn't part of your crowd. I pulled the note card from my purse. Handed it to my mother. She read it, her hands shaking. Every month, I continued, Marcus brings me your membership application. Every month I review it. Every month I delay the decision because I wanted to see if you'd ever, just once, treat me like I mattered. Judge Morrison had moved closer. Ms. Reyes, I had no idea you were the new owner. You've done remarkable work with the club. Thank you, Judge. My father was scrambling. Elena, sweetheart, there's been a misunderstanding. We always believed in you. You told Jason's friends I was between opportunities when I was managing a $2 billion portfolio. We didn't know. You told Amanda's baby shower guests I couldn't attend because of space limitations when the event was here at my club. Mom's voice cracked. We thought we were protecting you. You thought I was an embarrassment. The room was absolutely silent now. 150 guests watching a family implode. Marcus cleared his throat. Ms. Reyes, about the membership application? I looked at my parents. Really looked at them. Saw them not as authority figures from my childhood but as people. Flawed people who'd let status matter more than love. Deny it, I said quietly. Elena, no. My father grabbed my arm. I pulled away. You're denied membership. Not because of your finances or your references, but because membership at Riverside is about character. And over the past 3 years, I've watched how you treat people you think are beneath you. The servers you don't tip. The staff you dismiss. The daughter you excluded. Please, my mother whispered. Don't do this. I'm also canceling tonight's event fee, I said to Marcus. Consider it a gift. My final gift to my parents. I turned to leave. Jason stepped in front of me. You can't do this to them. This is cruel. Cruel. I looked at him. What's cruel is being uninvited from your own family because you don't meet their standards. What's cruel is working your whole life to build something real, only to have your family assume you've failed because you're not flashy about it. We made mistakes, Amanda said, tears in her eyes. But we're family. Family shows up, I said. Family asks questions. Family doesn't send note cards saying you're not their crowd. I walked past them. Past the silent guests. Past the staff who were trying not to stare. At the ballroom door I turned back. Marcus, effective immediately, implement the new membership review policy we discussed. Character evaluations by staff. Community involvement requirements. And references from people who actually know the applicants, Not just people they're trying to impress. Yes, ma'am. I looked at my parents one more time. They stood in the middle of their perfect party, surrounded by the people they'd tried so hard to impress, completely exposed. Happy anniversary, I said. Then I walked out. My phone exploded before I even reached my car. Jason, you destroyed them. Are you happy now? Amanda, how could you do this at their anniversary? Mom, please call me. We need to talk. Dad, Elena, I'm begging you. Let's discuss this like adults. I silenced my phone. Drove home through empty streets. The next morning the calls continued. Voicemails filled with apologies, anger, bargaining, more apologies. I listened to none of them. Marcus called on Sunday. Ms. Reyes, I wanted to check in. Last night was dramatic. How's the staff? Impressed mostly. Word spread quickly. The servers are calling you a hero. I smiled despite myself. That's not necessary. Also, 3 guests approached me about membership applications. They said if you're the owner, they want to be part of a club with that kind of integrity. Process their applications through the normal channels. Of course. And Ms. Reyes? Your parents' application is officially withdrawn. They called this morning. I felt something in my chest. Not quite relief, not quite satisfaction. Something more complicated. On Monday I went to work as normal. My assistant greeted me with coffee in the morning briefing. Markets were stable. Portfolio performance strong. Everything continuing as it always had. Richard called at noon. I heard about Saturday. News travels fast. You okay? I considered the question. I think so. For what it's worth, I'm proud of you. Not for the confrontation, for building something they couldn't see. For knowing your worth when they didn't. Thank you, Richard. Also, the board wants to discuss expanding our hospitality acquisitions. Your work with Riverside has been noticed. Professional success continuing regardless of personal chaos. Exactly as it should be. 3 weeks passed. I received a letter. Not an email, not a text. An actual letter handwritten on good stationery. Dear Elena, we don't know where to begin. I'm sorry, feels inadequate for years of dismissiveness, exclusion, and taking you for granted. We failed you as parents. We were so focused on appearances, on status, on what others thought. We never saw what you were building. We never asked. We never listened. You were right about the club. We've been treating people poorly for years, thinking it didn't matter because we weren't really members yet. We've been treating you poorly for longer, thinking you'd always be there regardless. We don't expect forgiveness. We don't expect a relationship. We just want you to know that we see you now. We see what you've accomplished. You've become. And we're ashamed that it took public humiliation to make us look. If you're ever willing to talk, we'd like to listen. For once. Mom and Dad. I set the letter down. Picked it up. Read it again. My phone rang. I answered. Elena. Her voice was tentative. Did you get Mom's letter? I did. She meant it. They both do. They've been different. Dad cried. I've never seen him cry. I said nothing. I'm sorry too, Amanda continued. I went along with it. The exclusion. The judgment. I told myself it was just how they were, but I could have stood up for you. I should have. Why didn't you? She was quiet for a long moment. Because it was easier not to. Because I liked being the favorite. Because I was shallow and selfish and I didn't want to risk my position by defending you. At least she was honest. Jason wants to talk too, she said. We all do. But only if you want to. No pressure. No expectations. I need time, I said. Take all the time you need. We'll be here. Finally. I hung up. 6 months later. I'm sitting in my office at Cordero Capital when Marcus calls. Ms. Reyes, I wanted to update you on club matters. Membership is at an all-time high. The new character review policy has completely changed our applicant pool. We're attracting genuinely good people. That's excellent news. Also, he hesitates. Your parents submitted new volunteer applications. Not for membership. They're asking to volunteer with our youth golf program and the staff appreciation committee. I'm quiet. No special treatment requested, Marcus continues. They'd work with the other volunteers. They seem sincere. Approve it, I say. But they work for their committee heads like anyone else. No exceptions. Understood. I hang up and look at the photo on my desk. New edition. From last month. It's from Coffee with Amanda. Just the two of us. She asked questions. Real questions. What's it like managing that much money? What's your favorite investment? Are you happy? Simple questions. But they meant everything. Jason sent a letter last week. Brief. Honest. I'm proud of what you built. I'm sorry I never said it before. My parents and I meet once a month now. Coffee. Neutral territory. They ask about work. They listen. They're learning who I actually am. It's slow. Sometimes awkward. But it's real. The thing about power reversals is they're not really about the power. They're about being seen. About people recognizing that their assumptions were wrong, that you had value all along. My family sees me now. And somehow that's enough. I return to the market reports on my desk. Cordero Capital is considering acquiring a boutique hotel chain. The analysis looks promising. My phone buzzes. Mom, your father and I finished our first volunteer shift at the club. The kids were wonderful. Thank you for approving us. I stare at the message. Type back. Me, how was it? Mom, humbling. In the best way. I smile. Set my phone down. Get back to work. Outside my window the city moves forward. Inside this office so do I. Different. But forward. And that's exactly where I need to be.